All right, it looks like we're live. So this is basically a test of my setup for my live streaming. I've never done this before. I've not done a lot of research into it. A colleague showed me or sent me a link the other day to a YouTube video of a setup, and I said that's really cool. Let me see if I can do something with what I have in my office right now. So I started playing with it. I've got two webcams set up. You can't really see that right now. Let me switch actually to just a single webcam. There we go. So what I did is I downloaded OBS Studio, which is a free streaming software. And as you can see, I've got, wait a minute. Did the thing actually switch? I think it did. Okay. So as you can see at this point, I've got my main webcam up. I've got my website scrolling across the top, and that was all set up in OBS Studio. Let's see. And so I can easily switch over to the part of my screen that has my website up, and it's got a stock ticker. So I set all these different configurations up in OBS Studio. I was actually able, I assume you can put as many video capture sources in as you like. I did run into some issues with USB. I have a pretty powerful USB hub, and I tried to plug multiple webcams into the hub, and I just have a couple cheap webcams that I've had for 10 or 12 years laying around, so I just plugged those guys in. That's actually what I'm using right now. And so I plugged two webcams into a hub that's USB 3, goes into my little Nook computer, and only one webcam at a time would show up. So a quick Google search suggested that maybe the USB couldn't handle all that. So I simply unplugged one of the webcams from the hub, plugged it straight into the Nook computer, and it had me going. So I'm using only one of the webcams at the moment because I had to shuffle all the stuff from the left side of my desk, all the totes and stuff, over to the right side, so I could have kind of a semi-clean area to show in the background over here. But so I won't show you the two camera setup. It's really not that great anyway. It just has an additional picture of me over here from the opposite side. It's actually kind of confusing. So I was just seeing what I could do, just playing with the software, and I guess this was actually supposed to be a test of my setup, but I will maybe go through how I created some of the setup, because it's kind of interesting to me how quickly and easily I was able to do it. The ticker you see going across the top of the screen here is actually a local HTML file that I created. I Googled stock market ticker widget, and there's a website. I don't remember even the website that it came up with, but it just had a list of all these different tickers, widgets that you could embed in a web page. And let me actually bring that up if I can do that. Yep. So I just added a HTML and body tag. I don't have a doc type. I don't have anything. It was just I'm just testing this out, right? So it doesn't have to be proper. And then I had my ending tags down here, and just copied and pasted. Oh, TradingView, I guess, is the website, since it's in all the stuff. So basically, just copied and pasted this div from TradingView and saved it as I meant to type ticker.html, but as you can see, I mistyped it. It says ticket. That's a carryover from work. I'm a software developer, and I write things that deal with tickets. So we won't go into that. This is the weekend. So just my muscle memory types ticket anytime I try to type anything that starts with a T. It just types ticket. So that was basically it. And then there's a really cool way that you can set that up in OBS. We may get into that later, but uh, basically just point it to the local HTML file, and the scrolling capability in this is built into the ticker widget. So I basically said load a browser that's a certain height, certain width, and stick that on my setup. So it was actually pretty easy. And then let me go back over to my right webcam only. As you can see, the webcam part of this screen is blank, and the reason that it's blank is because when I switched from my picture-in-picture, I had the webcam embedded in this other scene here. So I have it set up to, when I switch to a different scene, it deactivates the webcam. So if I switch straight over to another scene that uses that same webcam, it doesn't let go of the webcam fast enough to pull it up on the other one. This other scene thinks that the webcam's still in use. So I had to set up a blank scene that I switched to in between different scenes that include a webcam. So that's kind of a thing I need to work out. I think I can automate it, but I don't have any of the hardware that I want, all the nice stuff that professional streamers or even novice streamers who want to do a good job at it might have. So, look, I didn't even shave. Look, I got this whole thing happening because quarantine, you know. So, what I was wanting to point out is the scrolling text at the top of the screen here. The only thing that I have to promote or of any significance to promote is, or scroll at all, is my website. There's very little content on there. I post rarely, but it's a pretty safe thing for everyone in the world to view. You could read all the posts in their entirety in about 15 minutes, and it's just a cool little area for me to play around with. All that aside, evansmith.dev scrolling at the top here, and that's a very simple setup too. You literally add a text, I don't even know what they call them, source, I guess is what it is, and type in the text that you want to display, and then you tell it to scroll. So it's very simple. I did watch a couple videos, not specifically from OBS, but different people who have done different things. I think literally I watched 2 videos and then I just started playing around. It's pretty intuitive, and yeah, so I just did want to show that off there. So I'll go back to my blank and then over to my picture-in-picture. A lot of people who stream are using multiple displays. I have a single display, and I actually don't have a great way to show you right now. I guess I could use the camera to do it. Let me see. I'm going to improv here. So let me see if this is actually going to work. I'm going to try to get this gee, I have a mess on my desk, so don't pay attention to that. Let me see. Yeah. So this is my single display. See if I can back up enough, and it's not going to autofocus because I have autofocus turned off. But we've got the actual part of the screen that was showing on the stream over here in the top left. So that's going to be your second quadrant. And then I've got, I wonder if I'm showing any personal information. I guess not, because the stuff is hidden. So basically I've got the part of the screen that was shown is in the second quadrant. The YouTube stream dashboard that lets you control your stream is in the first quadrant. I've got a random folder open over here with Windows Explorer in the third quadrant that I don't even need. And then I've got in the fourth quadrant is OBS Studio. So uh, weird Twilight Zone stuff there. So yeah, that's basically how I've done it. And I wanted to show you that only because a lot of people will say that you need three, two, three, four, I don't know however many, but multiple monitors to do a good stream. And I made the decision about a year ago to actually consolidate to a single 43-inch 4K monitor. And I do WPF development for work, and so I wanted to have a screen where I could view the designer and the XAML at the same time. And it's just difficult to do that with a 1080p or even slightly higher resolution monitor. So I ended up just buying this 4K monitor, and then several months later, it's like, oh, well, I want to try this streaming thing, and everybody's saying you need multiple monitors if you're going to stream. And I kind of freaked out because either I got to convince my wife that she needs to use this 4K monitor, which she has zero interest in doing, or I have to figure out a way to mount a monitor to each side of this 4K monitor. I'll go ahead and tell you, my monitor takes up the full width of my desk. So it at that point it's going to be hard to actually sit a monitor on the desk beside my 4K monitor. And then the other option would be to get a clamp-on monitor mount, but my desk, I had to get a fancy desk with a tempered glass top, and so I can't really clamp anything to it. So that's kind of been a problem. I can't even clamp my microphone to it. So I'm working to maybe fabricate a kind of a skirt to go around the desk to clamp things to, but that's kind of a longer term project that I'm going to work on. So the multiple monitor setup was just not going to work out for me in the short term. And here in quarantine during the COVID-19 pandemic, I needed something to just go ahead and get started. Fortunately, in the OBS software, you can specify the resolution of your stream, and so I set it to 1080p. I have no business really streaming 4K. There's no reason for me to stream 4K, so I just defaulted to 1080p. And also, fortunately for me, 1080p roughly becomes the size of 1/4 of my 4K display. So I just use the built-in Windows. I don't know what you call it, but Windows key left and up. Kind of automatically splits my screen into 4 different quadrants for me, and so I have my different windows up all on the same screen. So I don't want people to think that you necessarily have to have multiple monitors for streaming. It may come in handy. It may be a little more convenient, but this is actually working out well for me because I'm used to working on one monitor anyway. And when I'm doing work, it's how it works. I'm used to it, and so it works out well for me. So what else do we want to talk about? Well, hopefully this thing takes off. Hopefully I end up finding some time to stream here and there. I've never looked into Twitch. I don't think I've ever been to the Twitch website. And I don't even know if it's against the YouTube streaming terms of service to mention other services. I'm sure it's not. But I haven't decided really which platform I want to go with. I haven't decided on what the content should be. But it's a neat thing to get into for sure. I would absolutely love to be able to buy more hardware for this, and get a better camera than this cheap well, it's not a cheap webcam. I've had it for 12 years, so it's probably not up to par for what standard just run to the store and get a webcam would be, but they are I think Logitech HD webcams, so they're pretty good actually, but just not something that would be a standard for today probably. But I would like to get a new camera. I would like to get a ring light or a triangle light or some kind of decent lighting. I've got a window on each side of my monitor here, so I can kind of control the light this way, but I have to go off screen to do it. And um, so it's just not ideal. I'd love to be able to control everything from sitting right here. Um, there are other hardware things that people have mentioned, a lot of products by Elgato that I would love to have just to even try. Um, I have, though, looked on B&H to see if some of the Elgato things were on there. Uh, and it seems like maybe B&H no longer carries Elgato products. I don't know if that's a decision on the Elgato side or on the B&H side, but I have actually yesterday I signed up for B&H's Paybu card because I do like to save money, and with the Paybu card they will, from my understanding, they will insta credit you the amount of tax that you would pay on the order right there in your shopping cart when you complete your order. So I've got a purchase that I was going to make, and the options were, well, we could order it from Amazon or we could order it from B&H. I like B&H for some reason. I don't know why, but if I can get the same price, same shipping, whatever from B&H as anywhere else, I'll just order from B&H. So looking into that with the Paybu card, I could save basically tax on my order. It's about a $500 purchase, so I would save I can't remember, I think $46. And the purchase I'm trying to make is not something that's going to make me any money. So if I were going to make my money back on it, then I would not necessarily care about paying the tax, but it's just a hobby thing. So don't want to necessarily pay that money if I don't have to. So trying to go through B&H, turns out you apply for the Paybu credit card, and then you have to wait for them to send it to you before you can make the purchase. And the thing I was going to buy is $100 off through the end of today, but I'm not going to get my credit card for another week. So that's just a whole thing. Fortunately, I checked on it, and it looks like there's a $100 off deal about every week and a half. So I'm not too concerned about it. I say all that to say, uh, the Elgato things. Uh, Elgato has this device called a Stream Deck. I keep wanting to call it Screen Deck every time I Google it because over the course of the past 2 or 3 days, I've Googled it about 15 times. And each time I type in Screen Deck and I get all these deck building websites that no, I don't want a deck. I do need to rebuild my deck, but that's maybe a topic for a different stream. So I always type in Screen Deck, and that's not at all what it is. It's Stream Deck, and it's this hardware device that you basically can program to control your different scenes in OBS Studio and other software and other different. I guess you can program macros and whatnot for it. So pretty neat thing, but it allows you to quickly just punch a physical button on this device that sits on your desk without having to go into the software and switch the scenes. And so, and that's a basic feature of it. There are so many different things it can do, and it's one of those things where you can program it to do basically what you want it to do. I think there are very few limits to what you can do on it. So, really neat thing. I'd love one of those. I'd love a direct capture card that I could install on my PC. Speaking of that, right now I'm working with an Intel Nook PC. It's several years old. I really like it for the form factor. It's super small, and so it works well to sit under my monitor on my desk because I don't have any other room on my desk because my monitor is so large. And I was bragging there in case you missed that, but there's no way I can install an expansion card in it. and I would like a little bit beefier of a machine. So would like to spend about $2,800 on a new computer for that, so that nothing's really laggy when I do a stream. But it's hard to justify spending any money really at all, much less almost $3,000 on hardware that you're not going to make any money off of. So hopefully, and if we're being honest, I don't understand how people make money off streaming anyway. It's probably something I should Google, but it's such a neat thing. So figured I'd try it out. What I would like to do, I think eventually, and it's so premature, I probably shouldn't even mention it, but here I am. I have an audience, so you're going to hear it unless you hit stop right now. I don't know. What I'd like to eventually do is do some live tutorial type learning kind of sessions where hopefully some people will hop on and view the live stream and ask questions, and we can figure it out together. Hold that thought just one second. There's a knock at the door. All right, that's all for today. We'll pick up later.